Manx Radio Sport.
Good evening and welcome back to Friday Sport Preview on Manx Radio. Rob Pritchard and the team here with you until 6:30pm to take a look at the sporting action coming up on the island this weekend. So, coming up tonight, the two Premier League frontrunners are on the road and a potentially poignant top-of-the-table clash in Division 2 are on the cards amongst the latest Manx football fixtures. There's set to be a long-awaited home return for Vagabonds Ladies in Manx rugby, as well as a tricky task on the road in the Regional 2 Northwest for Douglas. And in Isle of Man hockey, the spotlight is firmly focused on the semi-finals of the 5 cup competitions, with all teams just one step away from a potential spot in a final. That is all to come this evening. Hello and welcome back to the latest edition of Friday Sport Preview here on Manx Radio, taking a look at all the sporting action coming up on the Isle of Man in football, rugby and hockey this coming Saturday and Sunday. Well, it has been a torrid day in terms of weather on the Isle of Man, and we'll be praying to the gods that it doesn't have too much effect on the fixtures across the sports tomorrow, and included in that, of course, is the footballing side of things, and we can bring in Tony Mepham. Tony, very good evening. It is going to have to be a fingers crossed situation, I think, isn't it?
You've just taken the words out of my mouth, Rob, because when I came into the studio, the rain's outside and a little bit more tonight and possibly some tomorrow. So, yeah, we could do. I just thought that dry spell was the start of summer coming, but at the moment it's not helping us at all, and we just need to get a good run of fixtures going, and hopefully it'll sort itself out tomorrow.
Well, speaking of the weather, just for anyone who hasn't seen it at the moment, there has been a yellow weather warning issued by Ronalds Way Met Office for ice and further hill snow, and the areas likely to be affected are roads over higher ground of around 1,000 to 1,400 feet and above. That yellow notice came into force at 3pm today and runs until 10am tomorrow, so please just do that, bearing in mind if you are out and about across the island tonight and early tomorrow morning. Well, let's take a look at the sporting fixtures taking place this weekend, starting as ever with the footballing side of things. A complete return to league action this weekend, and some big ties once again as we come into the crunch phase, I think we should probably call it, in the footballing season. In the Canada Life Men's Premier League, the two front runners, Peel and Ayr United, they faced off last weekend. Tony, that match was abandoned in the second half. Have we had any update on that particular fixture?
Yeah, it was dealt with last night by the League Management Committee, and the game was abandoned on 84 minutes at 2-2. The League Management Kitty's decision was that it would remain. So the score at 2-2 remains, and that's it. And it was across the board, the committee just looked at it carefully, but with sort of the game near enough finished. I know, one club would have benefited and one would have lost. It's just one of those things. But, with 84 minutes played, it's near enough done and dusted, Rob. I know a lot of things can happen in 6 minutes, and it's just a shame that a player seriously got injured, but it's football, it's going to happen, and we wish a speedy recovery to Harry Weatherall.
Indeed we do, wishing him a full and speedy recovery. Well, let's take a look then at the fixtures in the Canada Life Men's Premier League and across the other divisions this weekend, all kicking off at 2:30pm. Starting off in the Canada Life Men's Premier League, we'll start over at Glencrutchery Road, where St George's are coming up against St Mary's, Tony.
Yeah, and it's we keep talking about it each week now, Rob, don't we? Because, as you rightly say, it's squeaky bum time, but it's more, clubs just trying to survive in the Canada Life Premier League, and if St George's could get something out of this, then it would really help them. But squad news, I haven't got it yet at the moment, so Johnny, when you're ready, we'll have a look, see how strong they're going to be. But I think St Mary's, certainly since the start of 2024, have looked pretty good, to be fair. One game against Braddon, struggled a little bit, but still got the 3 points, and that's the main thing. So Alex Harrison will be happy enough with the way things are going, and I just think with the way the forwards are playing defensively, look well marshalled by Carl Clark, I think St Mary's will take the victory.
Well, as you've just mentioned a couple of moments ago, that big top-of-the-table clash that was abandoned with just a couple of minutes to go between Peel and Ayr United, the scoreline was at 2-2. That result will stand. So that means Peel remain top of the Canada Life Men's Premier League, a 3-point gap over Ayr United, who still have 2 games in hand. Coming on to Ayr United, they're on the road tomorrow, away against struggling Braddon. Yeah,
and it is. And, good luck to Braddon, because it's their centenary dinner tomorrow. So well done to them. 100 years, absolutely fantastic. And find it tough going in the Premier League. And Ayr United have just got to sort of see what sort of squad they're going to have, because certainly Harry Best, who scored that first goal last week, I think he's missing tomorrow. Also, as we said before, the injury to Harry Weatherall takes him out. So they're going to have to shift players around. But I still think they're strong enough. The bench was pretty strong. You've always got Nick Hurt there to bring in. He can play in most positions. But Braddon would love to try and get something out of it. They've got young players like Dan Kinraid coming through the system, playing really well. And just looking at the whole team in future, they're going to have a really good team, Braddon. But at the moment, it's just a learning process for them. And against Ayr, I just think Ayr will be too strong.
And then out at Glen Road, Laxey, they'll be hosting St John's United.
Yeah, and there's always a battle between these two teams. And St John's, I know that Sam Brown was impressed with the performance last week. They got it all together and, scored the goals that they needed to. And when you, look at their forward line, it's really good going forward defensively. They've looked strong. Good goalkeeper, whoever may play in there for them. Johnny Palmer knows it's going to be difficult for them. But again, he's got a rich vein of quality players in there. Whatever his squad is, it always sort of, plays well. It plays football how it should be done. And I'm going to go for Laxey to take the 3 points.
And then this next fixture up in the north of the island of the Balaclone Stadium is one that you and I looked at and thought this could be an intriguing tie, at least on paper. Ramsey hosting Russian United. Yeah, Ramsey in 4th position, Russian in 7th, but they're not too far behind them. When I say that, they're on 21 points, Russian, but, when you look at the start that Russian had and they've only played the 16 games, they've turned it round pretty well. Andrew Moody's done a good job on them, and there's quality players in there. So, Russian will be looking to try and take the points away from Ramsey, but there's great atmosphere up at Balaclone at the moment, and I just think that Anthony Cooper's team will prove too strong for Russian, and that's why I go for Ramsey to win. Very well. Then out at Gary Moore, we mentioned one of the title contenders, Ayr United, away at Braddon. Well, Peel leading the way at the moment. They're going to be heading to Union Mills. Tony, do you see any shining light, I suppose, for Union Mills in this game? It's been a tough season for them so far, up against Peel, who just don't show any signs of slowing down at the moment.
No, they don't, and I think Peel last week, fair play to them. First 45 minutes, struggled a little bit, 2-0 down, and then in the second half they got the 2 goals and were playing well, but then, Simbin for Luke Doherty, and that just sort of put them under a little bit of pressure. But no, they're scoring plenty of goals. When you look at the goal difference for them, 57, that just says it all. Union Mills, great result for them last 7 days ago. Got the 3 points. That's what Ryan Kelly needed from his players, and if they can play the same, they can maybe cause problems for Peel. But I think Peel might just have 1 or 2 players back. Lee Gale probably back. Paul Whitehead might be available. I think Peel will be too strong.
And rounding off the Canada Life Men's Premier League over the Memorial Playing Fields, Morown, they'll be hosting Douglas Royal. Yeah, and this is, when you look at the bottom of the table, Morown in there, and you've got Douglas Royal above them in 8th place. But Douglas Royal, when they sort of missing 1 or 2 players, it does seem to go against them, and they concede an awful lot of goals. Morown, again, we say it for the last 2 or 3 weeks, they need points. Last week it didn't happen for them. This week they've got to, I think, try and get something out of Douglas Royal, because the teams that are around them, they need to be able to take the points away from them. But Douglas Royal, if they're full strength, Dominic McCarry, Brennan playing in there, Holly Jackson, congratulations to him last week playing FC Isle of Man. It shows what quality they've got in there. So I'm going to go for Douglas Royal just to sneak it. Very well. They're moving into DPS Limited Division 2. There'll be 5 games there, and 1 game seems to stand out straight away. Onken, with several games in hand, still in with a shout of pushing towards those promotion places. They're coming up against undefeated Foxdale, Tony.
And relentless Foxdale at the moment, because they're playing really well, and looking forward to watch this one. I'm glad you've sent me to this one, Rob. And the stadium hopefully is in good condition, with the weather that we've had. But I just, Onken, they scored some good goals against good sides, but then, last week it was a real bit of a struggle for them. So that's why I'm going to go for Foxdale. Jay Chatwood there, Jason Chalmers in there, Charlie Harrison. I just think they're going to prove too strong for them, and that's why I've gone for them.
Not forgetting, of course, 4 other games taking place in DPS Limited Division 2. Tony, let's get your thoughts on Castletown versus Governors Athletic, Maloo versus Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, Douglas and District versus Gyms, and Pulrose against Douglas High School Old Boys. Right,
let's look at the top of the table first, and Castletown. You've got to go for Castletown against Governors Athletic, but they're prepping up now, ready for that semi-final in the Woods Cup, which is on the 23rd of March. So all the players are battling for that one, so I'm going to go for Castletown to win. Maloo against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys. I think Maloo might just sneak this one, so go with Maloo. Douglas and District against Jims. I'll go with Douglas and District. And Pulrose against Douglas High School Old Boys. I just think Old Boys will be too much for them, and Old Boys to take the points.
Very well. Let's take a quick look through the combination leagues as well. So 5 games this weekend in Canada Life Combination 1.
Yeah, Ayr against Braddon. I'll go with Ayr to take the points in that. I think they'll just be a bit too strong for them. St John's and Laxey should be a close affair. I'm going to go for St John's just to win that. Russian against Ramsey. Ding dong, this one, isn't it? When you look at that Combination 1 league table, this has got everything at it, and it's a shame.
I was wondering what metaphor you were going to use for this one. Continue.
It's a shame we couldn't cover it, but we can't get back in time. But current form, I've just got to go with Russian, but this is going to be full blown because the league's going to, I think, decide on this one. So we'll go for Russian. Peel against Union Mills. I'm going to go for Union Mills. They're doing well in this league. And Douglas Royal against Moran. Moran to take victory.
And then 5 games as well in DPS Limited Combination 2.
Yeah, Michael against Douglas Athletic. Douglas Athletic got 1 or 2 good players in there. I've noticed they've had them signed for a couple of months now. So I'm going to go for them to win. Governors Athletic against Castletown. Go for Castletown. Foxdale against Onken. Onken will be too strong. Ramsey Youth Centre against Maloo. I'll go with Ramsey Youth Centre. And Jims against Douglas and District. I think Douglas and District will just have enough to take the win.
And then quickly taking a look at Sunday, 3 games in the Canada Life Women's League, all kicking off at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, Maloo play against, the Floodlit Cup winners, Corinthians, and go for Corinthians to win. Douglas Royal against Castletown. Douglas Royal to take victory. And Onken against Peel. Onken, I've got good players in there, so they can mix it with them. This could be the only chance maybe Corinthians have of winning that league. I know they've still got games to go, but if Onken could take points, it would open it up. But I'm going to go for Peel to win.
And last but certainly not least, 2 games on Sunday afternoon in the Masters football as well.
Yeah, Laxey against Douglas and District. Go with Laxey, and Peel against Governors Athletic. I've said it before, Governors Athletic impressed me when I saw them a couple of weeks ago playing. But I think Peel's squad and the players that they've got available will be too strong.
Tony Mepham, thank you very much indeed.
Manx Radio Sport.
Turning our attention to rugby now, and this Saturday sees a long-awaited homecoming for Vagabonds Ladies, who'll be back at Ballafletcher for only their 3rd home match on Saturday. Meanwhile, Douglas are on the road in Regional 2 North West in a contest which, on paper at least, means they'll have a tricky obstacle to overcome to claim a result. With the 2 matches on the card this weekend, we caught up as ever with our rugby correspondent Dave Christian to get his thoughts.
In Regional 2 Northwest, Douglas will have a difficult time, I think, away at Bowden. Back in November, Bowden came to Portachee. Douglas hadn't started very well. I think they'd lost their first 4 on the trot. Bowden were one of the early front-runners in the standings in Regional 2 Northwest. Douglas were actually winning 26-23 with 4 minutes to go, and then a late try from Bowden saw them take the points. It's difficult to say how it's going to go. Since Christmas, Bowden have just fallen away a little bit, and the results have been up and down like a roller coaster. They've beaten Birkenhead Park, the league leaders, but they've also lost to Winnington Park, who are below Douglas in the standings. Whatever it is, Bowden had some problems and have lost to teams that you wouldn't have expected them to lose to. They are still, however, in 3rd place. They're going to be formidable on their home ground. And Douglas just been struggling with injuries for the last few games, picked up 4 in an away game just a few weeks ago. Couple back this weekend, Cole Markle Ferns, who is an outstanding rugby player and can play just about any position in the forwards and the backs. Douglas had called him up just to give them some bench cover. This weekend, travelling away, they've got a decent squad. Simon Hoddenott in training for the London Marathon. He's as fit as he's ever going to be. Big ball carrier for them up front and a solid man in the scrummage. Owen Carvin comes back into the side. We've got Cal Dentith, who has got through the concussion protocols. These guys coming back into the side. They will miss Liam Kirkpatrick from the back row, but James Good and Angus Wheeler are there, and those guys will more than adequately plug the gaps. So things are looking good on paper. Sam McCourt's going to get a run at fullback as well, an exciting player with the ball in hand. Douglas are going away reasonably confident here. But remember that results haven't gone their way. They've had those injury problems. And you're looking at the form book, you've got to fancy a Bowden win. But if Phil Kringle's lads can come back with anything from this, it'll be a little Brucey bonus for them. The other game on the card this weekend is in Women's NC1 Northwest. Vagabonds Ladies haven't had a home game since Broughton Park at the beginning of December, so they're well overdue a game this weekend. They've not been going well in Women's NC1 Northwest. They are bottom of the table, and in the transition season, they've been struggling with results, with some of the older players dropping out of the game and new younger players coming in who don't necessarily have the experience of playing league rugby. Their opponents this week, Didsbury Toc H. Didsbury not been going so well either, to be honest. They're just a couple of places above Vagabonds. I think 3 wins from 8 outings. Vagabonds will fancy their chances here. They lost 29-5 in the away leg. If the ladies can get a full side out there at Bella Fletcher, they should give Didsbury some problems. A couple of great promising players in there as well. Malin Campbell, I watched her against Broughton Park in the centres that day. She's going to be packing down in the back row of the scrum this weekend. And wherever she gets ball, she looks like she's going to be a threat. And defensively, she can put in the big hits as well. We've got Ella Goodwin-Jones coming back into the front row. She missed the trip to Liverpool St Helens 2 weeks ago. Sammy McDonald, they'll miss probably at scrum half, but they do have veterans coming into the side. Sophia Birchall will be there and thereabouts. Alana Farragher, a name I've not seen on Team Sheet for a little while either. Leona McGovern's going to skip on the side, wearing the 10 jersey for Lauren Ellison, who is unable to play. It's unfortunate for the team. They're going to have to make do and mend. And Leona McGovern, she played in the centres, partnered up with Jules Harrison last season. She'll be more than adequate cover in the 10 jersey. Can Vagabonds Ladies do it? I don't know. My fingers are crossed. On paper, you've got to fancy the visitors for this one, Didsbury Toc, but Vagabonds' home advantage. The girls have been working very, very hard. They've got the Unity Dance School coming down for some pre-match cheerleading as well. And kick off at Balla Fletcher for this game unseasonably early. It's 1 o'clock tomorrow. And we'll be there to cover that one for Saturday Live.
Manx Radio Sport.
And last but certainly not least this evening, taking a look at hockey, and the semi-finals of the Isle of Man Cup competitions are in the spotlight this weekend. 4 teams remain in each of the 5 competitions: the Men's Cup, Ladies' Cup, Men's Plate, Ladies' Plate and Ladies' Bowl, all knowing they're just one step away from a place in a final. So how do the teams stack up for tomorrow's showdowns? I spoke with our hockey correspondent Ben Cunningham to find out. The focus is on both Cup and League action. We're going to take a look at the games taking place at the respective venues. We'll start at the National Sports Centre. 11 o'clock is in the Ladies' Plate, and that sees Backers B up against Vikings B, Ben.
Of course, Vikings Ladies B are currently top of Ladies Division 1. Backers Ladies B are just behind. I think Vikings Ladies are just looking too strong at the moment.
12:30, it's Men's Cup action, and it sees Vikings Men's A up against Castletown A. And Ben, will Castletown fancy their chances?
I think they will after Vikings losing last week. Vikings, though, will definitely want to make sure that they get their momentum back. Big game ahead for both teams.
And then straight after that, from the Men's Cup to the Ladies' Cup, Backers A and Vikings A.
This is going to be a big game because this game was played last weekend and Backers A come out on top. Vikings will be really looking to get revenge for the defeat that they suffered in the league, and they'll hope that Backers cannot end their cup run.
The final game at the NSC, 3:30, is league action. The Under-15s League, Harlequins up against Castletown Sabres.
Yeah, this will be a really good game. Castletown Sabres have looked really good, as have Harlequins. I'm on the fence here.
Then let's take a look at the games out west at QE2 in Peel. The early pushback is 11 o'clock in the Ladies' Cup, and that sees Valkyries A up against Castletown A.
I've got this down as fixture of the day in the Ladies' Cup. Castletown Ladies A have got their form back. Valkyries Ladies as well are looking really good. These two teams, though, are level pegging in the Ladies' Premier League, so a lot riding on this game.
Straight from the Ladies' Cup to the Men's Cup at QE2 at 12:30. Two sides evenly matched on paper, Valkyries A and Backers A.
Backers A will be on high after getting that win over Vikings Men's A last week in the league. Valkyries Men's A suffered a defeat to Harlequins Men's A in the league, so they might be licking their wounds this weekend. I think Backers Men's A will be looking really strong and go for the win.
League action after that comes in Men's Division 2 at 2 o'clock at QE2, and that's Valkyries C up against Backers D.
These two are very well matched. Valkyries full of youth, however Backers D are full of senior and experienced players from days gone past, so it'll be a good game, but I think Valkyries C will come out on on top on that one.
And then rounding off things at QE2 on Saturday, 3:30, it's the Under-15s League, Vikings versus Valkyries.
Valkyries are absolutely having a field day the last couple of fixtures, scoring at least 6+ goals, so big task for Vikings here this weekend.
And then down to the south, we've got 3 games at Castle Rushen High School. The first off at 11 a.m. on Saturday is in the Ladies' Plate, and that's Castletown D up against Vikings C.
Castletown D, league leaders of Ladies Division 2 against Vikings Ladies C, who've had a mixed bag of results, but hope that they can probably have a good cup run here in the Ladies' Bowl, so it'll be a good game this.
Straight after that at 12:30 at Castle Rushen, Castletown Men's B up against Vikings Men's C in the Men's Plate.
Vikings C looking really good in the league. Castletown Men's B are in that relegation battle, but they could give Vikings C a good test here. We'll see what happens on the day.
And straight after that at 2 o'clock is the Ladies' Plate, and that sees Castletown C up against Valkyries B.
Valkyries Ladies B, mixed bag of results. Castletown Ladies C, of course, they can cause surprises, and I wonder whether Castletown Ladies C could put up a surprise here in the Ladies' Plate.
And then up in the north of the island, finally, at Ramsey Grammar School, 3 games at 12:30, the first one there in the Ladies' Bowl, and that's Ramsey B up against Valkyries C.
2 very evenly matched sides again. This could be a very close game. Possibly might go to flicks, I reckon, this one.
And then we have at 2 o'clock in the Men's Plate at Ramsey Grammar School is Vikings B up against Ramsey A.
Yeah, these 2 sides are very much evenly matched in Men's Division 1. Vikings B just below Ramsey A, and of course Ramsey A played them last week and got the victory, so they'll be on a high and they'll know that they can probably go and get the victory again this weekend.
And last but certainly not least, 3:30 at Ramsey Grammar School in the Under-15s League, Backers against Ramsey Rogues and Rascals.
Ramsey Rogues and Rascals have been performing well. Backers have been having a good run so far, so a very close match ahead, and I think Backers will probably just come out on top.
That's all we have time for on Friday Sport Preview this week. Many thanks to my guests as always, Tony Mepham, Dave Christian and Ben Cunningham. Have yourself a wonderful Friday and a wonderful weekend as always as well. Chris Kinley is here with you next, but from me until next time, it's bye for now.
Manx Radio Sport.